Right, today we're back for part 2 of the Shinoda Hi Utsuri selection. It was a while ago since we first filmed, and we've already in between that shot a small snippet as well where I had to get a size grading done on this batch of fish because the big ones in there had really shot on, and it worked out, you know, about 10% of the population as well was considerably bigger. So already done that selection, them fish are out of the way. So today we're going to focus on quality and quality alone with this selection. I think we're still sat at about 900 fish in the batch altogether. So we're going to be looking to ideally aim for about 400 being kept and 500 being released for sale, which have actually already been sold as well. So yeah, let's get straight into it. They're looking good. There's been some good progress in them. And yeah, towards the end of the video we're going to take a look at the fish that's been released for sale. You can see where it's going, and along the way I'll keep you informed on my thoughts on the various fish. So yeah, let's get into it. So today it's Sunday the 27th of November. I've been basically, this is coming back to the Shinoda Hi Utsuri, which we did a video of a few weeks back. This was a new arrival of Tosai. Now in that video I mentioned that it was more than likely going to have to do a size grading. There was quite a few, you know, substantially larger, more dominant fish in the pond, which can become a problem in a community such as that, where they can actually hold back, you know, the wider population because they are so dominant at feeding time. I was hoping to wait until we did the full pond selection, but unfortunately this week, when I was doing the sample picture for our website, it was all too clear that there was too many of these and the size difference was getting too vast. So we knocked them off the food for a couple of days. We netted them up and did a size grading and basically took away everything that was above the average size on the net. So with them all in the same net, just get a net of about, you know, 5 to 8 fish, and you know, any one that looked substantially bigger than the majority and the average on the net was removed. So yeah, in total, quite interesting. There was 100 pieces. So 10% of the population, substantially bigger. The average size in the pond at the minute is sort of 12 to 14 centimetres. So they have grown pretty well from when they first arrived. But these in front of me are hitting 16, and the absolute biggest one was already up to 20 centimetres. It's just too much. So yeah, what I've got in front of me now, these particular fish are actually going to be released for sale, but I just want to capture, you know, the difference so we can see compared to the other ones when we do actually get round to filming that. One thing you will notice quickly as well from the video before is just how much the colour's changed already. We've really lifted the Benny up. They've gone from that really sort of off-looking yellow colour like the Hi Utsuri to looking more like, you know, the Hi Utsuri that you'd expect to see. So yeah, these are out of the 100 pieces. There's 80 pieces in this bowl. I did do a further selection. There's 20 of the best, which will be grown on further here at Koi Wholesale. Not in the pond with the Hi Utsuris. We're actually going to rehouse them in with some Showa of a similar size. Hi Utsuri, Showa, pretty much same, sharing a lot of the same traits. So I've no issues with having them in that pond. They should go pretty well together. Similar feeding behaviours, and yeah, be a good combination. So yeah, if you want to just take a closer look at the 80 in here, they really have progressed well. We can even see in here a vast size difference from even from the lower end up to the bigger end already. You know, this one is possibly could have gone back in the pond with the others, but certainly at this end of the scale, it's just crazy. We can see there's quite a lot. The bodies are really filled out well, again, due to the amount they're probably eating disproportionate to all the others. But you will notice just the sheer amount that the bennies actually came up from when they first arrived. They were a lot more sort of like this colour. You can see now even that's the lightest fish in the bowl compared to the others. They're looking more red and black, which is good. They've done that in a relatively short space of time. So yeah, I can't stress enough how important, you know, size grading during selection is really crucial for maxing out the growth. You know, these fish are never going to struggle. It's all the others in the pond that will get held back because of how dominant, you know, these will become. Certainly having such a high percentage of the overall population being much bigger. So like I say, these will get prepared now and released for sale. And yeah, we'll take a look at the better 20 that are actually going to be kept and grown on further. So what I've got here is the top pick, the top 20 out of the 100 larger size fish. These are going to be grown on further. Like I said, they're going to get moved into a pond of showa that are of a similar size and, for me, similar feeding behaviour, so I've no concerns there. Actually looking at these, there's some really good fish, showing a lot of the typical sort of Shinoda traits. Certainly in the body, they're looking really powerful already, which is good to see. Really strong heads on them and strong bodies. So yeah, I actually think a lot of these are probably likely to make it through, you know, right until the end of the growing season next year. There certainly looks like there could be a few of them with that potential. To document these a little bit further, we're actually going to take individual pictures as well, measurements, just so we've got some more data on how they progress and how they do. So yeah, if you want to take a bit of a closer look, you'll see first of all just how strong the bodies already are. The zoom is faded off a little bit because they're in the bowl, but see some really strong bodies in there. You know, like this one in particular, already showing real power, great head, great shoulders. It's going to be a big grower. We're going to expect, you know, some good growth out of these overall, given the size they're at for their age already. Really quite prominent patterns. There's a lot going on. So yeah, I'm excited to see what these can do. Again, the colours come on really well from what they were. Nice head patterns as well, which is it makes a big difference with the Hi Utsuri, to be honest. But yeah, super fish. These are hitting about 17 to 20 cm as well. At the bigger end here, this one's hitting 20 at the minute. Great fish. So yeah, we'll see what they do. The pond they're going into is pretty heavily stocked at the minute, so that's waiting for a selection to be done. But yeah, we'll expect to see these in the future. So I think the first one to look at here is this Asagi in the bowl. There is a couple in the pond. This is one of the fish we use to try and detect sleeping sickness and just force general illness in the fish from mixing with something that's older and probably carrying you know, more resistance to problems. Sleeping disease we discussed in an earlier video, which we'll put a link to that in the description below if you want to watch that. But that's the only reason these guys are in here. So at this point, these will be completely removed now because this process is finished, and they will cause mayhem with the feeding pattern. But yeah, they've been in there for a good amount of time now and served their purpose, so time for them to go. So as for the Hi Utsuri selection, I've got 2 socks. Again, it's quite important. It's a lot easier to go through each fish one by one to assess it. The blue sock is the fish that I'll be keeping. They'll go in my keep net over there, and then the black sock is for the fish that will be released for sale, and they'll be moved to the net at the far end. So yeah, these are, if you remember talking previously, these are the Shinoda Hi Utsuri. Shinoda is the #1 breeder of Hi Utsuri in the world. There's no doubt about that. He's winning most of the top honours at koi shows for the variety, and it's primarily known for the jumbo sizes that they attain. He's got a collection himself in Japan where the fish are all sort of sat, you know, 80, 90, I'm sure now some at a metre or so. That they're quite phenomenal, and the lineage is more than capable of actually achieving it. Yeah, been quite lucky to get these. Getting Tosai from this guy is a complete and utter nightmare. This is something that, you know, you won't see on the hobbyist side of the fence, and to be honest with you, a lot of dealers don't even see, and a lot of dealers aren't even getting looking at these fish because the process itself, just looking at that one, got a deformed mouth, just slightly off, pointing to one side. Nice fish, but can't stay. So yeah, coming back to it, Shinoda, like I say, people's not really seeing what's going on, but unless you're in the mix to sort of be buying these fish and taking these Tosai, really as early as late September to early October, then you're going to be missing out. And it's not a case of you can't just get your foot in the door to buy a box or something like that. You've got to be buying big to even stand a chance. The popularity in Asia, I mean, you're talking, you know, batches of 10, 20,000 being sold out in the case of a week or so after harvesting. So yeah, pretty privileged to have them and excited to see what we can do with them this year, because it's been such a long time since I've actually had Shinoda Hi Utsuri on site. So yeah, given what we did with the Marseille ones last year, again, you can see footage of that. We'll put a link to that in the description below. Yeah, they all grow Hi Utsuri in general, but these Shinoda ones, I can't wait to see what we can actually do given the DNA that they possess. So we can already see one part here to really look at is the difference in coloration already. Now, if we remember looking back to the first video that we recorded, these look like pretty poor Hi Utsuri, to be honest with you. The reason being, as I explained back then, you know, these have been fairly fresh out of the mud ponds, where they'll have been not exposed to any colour food, and the natural pigmentation won't have had much chance to actually develop either. So yeah, since then I've primarily only been feeding colour food to these fish since they got here, Saki Hikari colour, because I really wanted to focus on lifting the colour up. Main reason being is obviously I knew a batch would be preparing for sale, and nobody wants yellow Hi Utsuri. Secondly, it's just to speed up, I'll not say speed up the process. This process just happens so slowly when you're not using colour food. You know, it's a really useful tool. We're not doing anything artificial in doing it, we're just helping out the process and speeding it along, because naturally the process does take so long by itself. It's really important. The selection criteria today, obviously as ever, I'm primarily going to be checking out for deformities, making sure I'm happy with what I see in the body. Sumi wise, it's quite important to remember that the pattern on Hi Utsuri is pretty much fixed. You don't get a lot of Sumi development, you know, like with Shiro Utsuri, where you're typically seeing Sumi and it comes up a bit later. You're not getting loads of that with Hi Utsuri. A lot of what you see today is what you're going to get. There's some areas of Sumi progression to be had. This fish here, prime example, to be honest with you. You see already, you know, there's parts of the Sumi that's actually coming through and developing on that fish. So we'll give it a bit more time and see what can be done with that. I think size wise, I can't remember what we were at when we did the first selection, but there has been considerable progression in them already. They're still not massive. We'll look at the size in a little while, but overall progressed really well. Certainly on the bigger end, as we saw in the video, you know, them things have gone crazy, but yeah, at this end even, I'm happy with where we've got to at this point. They have had a couple of weeks where they've just sort of stalled and not done a lot, which is primarily our fault. We've been quite busy and not been able to schedule in the selection. But yeah, we're going to get it done today, get the pond warmed up, feeder on, and start pushing these really hard now. Probably looking to do the next selection towards the end of January or early February, at which point these are going to look really completely different fish. Sort of size wise with these at the minute, I'm not too worried about the smaller ones. I'd say after taking the bigger ones away, they were causing some sort of mayhem. The smaller ones have progressed from where they were, which is important. Now I'm hoping that, you know, with more space, it's going to allow these to catch up with the others a little bit more. So it's at the next selection, if we've got anything really looking small at that point, it will be rejected, because they'll need to be, you know, in a completely different environment for them fish to be able to thrive and get the most out of them. There are still, if we just have a look at that one, there are still some really small fish. That one is just so much smaller than everything else that there's no way it can sustain in this environment. It's just not possible. Looks a really good fish, to be fair. Nice sumi pattern there, not much Benny progressed through yet, but unfortunately that one's going to have to be rejected, because it just needs to be living with, you know, much smaller fish now to give it a chance of catching up. You can actually see with this one as well at a quick glance there, it's got a heavily deformed mouth. We've really got to pay attention to stuff like that. This is a fish which won't get released for sale. This will just get moved on and rehomed somewhere. Yeah, quite a severe deformity, that one. So this is really, with Hi Utsuri, one of the few varieties and sort of the size they're at the minute, where a lot of this selection right now is purely based on pattern. You know, they're still not at a point really when we can assess the true quality of the fish, because they're too small, there's too much happening. You know, they're not really at a point yet where we can truly see what's going on. So we are relying on the fact of, we know you don't get too much sumi progression on the fish. A lot of what we're looking at is what we're going to get. So on that base, it does make it a bit easier. Obviously, you need to check for them deformities. There are a few where we can generally see, which we'll look at in a bit, where the sumi quality's a fair bit higher than the others. Again, at the minute, I'm not paying any attention to the hue of the Benny at the minute. If it's orange, reds, I'm really not interested right now. That's going to be something for later on, because again, it's still very much sort of in a progressive phase as it stands at the minute. Sumi quality wise, again, it's not easy to assess at this moment. All still way too much happening, and this is what I mentioned in one of the previous videos. You know, we can't get everything right at this early stage. This is why so many selections get done with breeders in Japan, and you know, in the whole process, because it's only what you learn to look for at each stage to make sure you're not. It's basically, it's a process of, you know, making sure you just don't reject anything that could be good. There's still going to be plenty. I mean, the batch overall is good quality. There's going to be plenty of good fish come out of the ones I'm not keeping. Again, there's a lot of pattern preference here being done, but yeah, it is a loose selection. I think this is where a lot of people can go wrong, is trying to get it too definitive at this point, because there's basically just too much to look at and too much to do, too much to change, and a lot can happen. Bear in mind that on average, a breeder, a high quality breeder, is probably doing selections when these from hatching to sort of being harvested and the first batch being released for sale. There'll be an absolute bare minimum of 3 selections done, but that can be as much as 5 selections for some varieties and some of the bigger breeders. So all the time, it's just basically, you know, if maybe this is going to happen, and just, yeah, working to very different criterias. just another one I've spotted here, and this is actually, it was a fish I was just about to select to keep, and then I noticed, see the deformity here on the dorsal. Actually no, the dorsal fin's split, there's a huge part of it that's not actually there. That is something that will never ever recover. It is a deformity, so yep, that fish has to be rejected, unfortunately. I think one thing to note is, obviously, you know, this video is going to be condensed down into a lot smaller period than the actual selection takes. But yeah, selection is a very time-consuming process. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of stress for the fish. It has to be well planned out. Even, you know, getting these ready for this today, we're bringing the temperature, you know, down, so it's a little bit less stress for the fish. They're not as active. Stopping the food, really important that the fish are starved for at least sort of, you know, 2 to 3 days prior to all the netting up and the severe stress and handling that they're going to go through. And yeah, it's the amount of times it needs to be done. You know, this selection overall is probably going to take between an hour and a half to actually get done and get finished. And you consider the amount of times that's going to get done. You know, this is the first major selection on these for me. Like I say, the breeder's possibly done them anywhere between 3 and 5 times already. That out in Japan is a much more involved process as well, because the fish are being raised in mud ponds. Got a whole pond to net up, go through. It's a lot of work over the lifespan of, you know, even to the point of getting these to Nisai by autumn next year. A lot of fish, actually, a lot of fish, yeah, getting rejected, and this is why you can see on the higher end of it, you know, so much is riding on those top fish that come out of it. For me, for the breeder, because the time investment, the sort of, you know, investment in utilities, the food, the heat, all the labour that goes into them, and I mean, realistically, from this 1,000 fish, I'm going to be looking at possibly having about 50 pieces of, you know, good Nisai, of which, you know, no more than probably about 5 to 10 at absolute most of them are going to be deemed really high quality fish. So yeah, it is important, and probably, you know, not considered enough when you consider about the price of fish, even getting them to this point, but never mind getting them to Nisai. You know, then we've got the fact that at Nisai we're going to have the value affected by whether it's male or female as well. There's just so much going on and so much to consider. But yeah, when you do see that masterpiece that everybody wants and falls in love with, and it ticks all the boxes, it's always going to carry a considerable price tag. So yeah, here, just as I've been selecting, there's a real sort of standout, super high quality looking piece. That's already, it's got a really sort of prominent looking bone structure, which is nice. You can see sort of throughout the head it's carrying quite a bit of power, head to tail there on that one. Sumi qualities looking quite nice and refined, and yeah, really nice sort of Utsuri pattern on that one. Nice head pattern as well. Going to have balance. It's obviously both got 2 entirely black fins at the minute, which I generally like to see. Yeah, great piece, that one. I'm expecting that to do good things. And this is another piece I'm looking, I'm quite excited about. Again, looking at this, you can already see there's real good thickness and shine to the Sumi, which I'm really excited about. Again, body's quite prominent and strong overall with that one. Nice all black fins all the way around. Benny's still progressing, but you can already see the colour's a lot stronger on the head than it is on the body, which is an important sign. We're going to be catching up to that. Now, one thing to note, I don't know if we can get this on the camera, there's quite a sort of sootiness to the head on that one. Now, this can, I've known these be rejected because of this, but it is known, certainly from the breeder, that this can tend to grow out with size in the fish. So It's been a long time since I've had these. I do know that from the breeder, so I am keeping them at this moment. And yeah, good, really good all-round quality. Yeah, another one here. Everyone now and again just puts an absolute smile on your face. This piece is absolutely stunning. Again, we can see recurring. It has got a standout, really quite powerful body, but yeah, Sumi's just got a nice shine to it. You can see there's good quality, but look at that pattern sat on that. Nice Utsuri reflections pattern, one side to the other, looking absolutely superb. What we can also see, just to point out, if we can get that there is an area here. Just see where the scales are whited out and not red. It's more than likely just through the netting process. Just lost a few scales, not an issue at all. They'll have grown back within absolutely no time and be unrecognisable. It's quite natural for fish to lose scales when they're being netted and handled how they are doing. So yeah, nothing to worry about, but really great fish that.
Oh, can we see that scale again?
The what? Another one here yet again. Fabulous little fish I've just come across in this bowl. Again, really see the body's set really proportionately and nice. Benny's a bit stronger on this one, which say not really relevant, but yeah, it's looking good. Really again, such a good pattern to the fish. You can see good refinement to the Sumi already, which is nice. Pattern flows really nice. The head pattern in particular is looking, you know, really nice on that one. It really can be what sets one Hi Utsuri apart from the other is really in that head pattern. Yeah, really liking that fish. You can see the sort of side detail is really quite nice. Yeah, just another standout piece. We're going to look forward to tracking the progress on that one a bit more for sure. So in this net we've got all of the fish that are now going to be released to, well, I say released for sale, already sold, so big sort of middle and next month these are going to get sent off to the dealers. You can still see in here overall the quality, you know, is really good. There's nothing wrong with a lot of these fish. They're just not quite fulfilling the criteria I've got in my head at this specific moment in time. I say a lot of it is pattern based, but yeah, quality wise it's all there. You've got to remember the good and the bad, these all share the same genetics, you know, they've got the same growth capabilities and the same, you know, qualities in there to be had. A lot of this selection has been based on pattern, and obviously we want fish to fill price points. You know, not everybody is going out buying fish for hundreds of pounds, and you know, and the better quality stuff, that's what the price point they're going to be sitting in before we know it. You know, these are going to be really reasonably priced and available in shops, you know, all across the country. So yeah, I'd certainly look out for them, because they'll be a fantastic growing project for anybody who's watching this video. And yeah, you know, to get a small batch, grow them, see what you can do. You're going to have a lot of fun, enjoyment, and probably get some really good fish out of it in the end. So in this net we've got my final selection, my keepers for now, 352 fish altogether. So going back into the pond, yeah, they're going to have a lot of space, and we're going to see some pretty rapid growth with these, because to be honest, typically I'd be looking to keep about 500 fish of this size in there, and we'd comfortably achieve getting them to 20 to 25 cm within not a great amount of time, to be honest with you. So having just gone through this net, there is 5 fish here, which again, from the size grading we did, have either sort of slipped the net or had a growth spurt since. These 5, you can just sort of see from the fish in the background, they're considerably bigger than the others. So these are going to be removed. I'm still going to keep them, but as with the other big ones that we removed, they're going to be put in the pond with my Issachos of a similar size at the moment, where that environment's going to be more of a level playing field there. So yeah, regarding what's in this net, really happy with the prospects and what I've got. There is quite a lot of smaller fish, which does sort of cut against what I've been saying. However, I'm really sort of happy with the quality of them, and we're just sort of having to think tactically at the moment, and because, you know, it's what I can do with those fish. I've not got another pond at the minute where I can separately raise them. So what I'm hoping is with the lower stocking density in here, they are actually going to manage to push on a little bit. Their growth rate is ultimately going to be slowed by the bigger fish. That's a given. But if we can just etch them up a little bit, we can see where we are, you know, at the next selection, and possibly by then I'll have a different pond for those that have come on a little bit but are still lagging behind the pack, to move them and raise them a bit further, just give them a bit more dedicated growing. So yeah, they're looking good. These will go back in now, and we will I'll start raising the temperature up, get these sat at 24 degrees, and I'm planning to use a mix of Saki Hikari growth and Saki Hikari colour. It's going to be a 50-50 mix, and I'll be using the small pellet, which is about 2 to 2.5 mil, I think, perfect size for these. And they'll be on a feeding program every 2 hours. So yeah, from now until the next selection, you're really going to see a rapid change in these, and the fish will look completely different by the time we get to that next selection. So yeah, happy days. We're going to take a closer look now, just in the bowl, these in some more detail, and yeah, get cracking with getting these back in the pond. Right, selection's all done now. Really happy with what I've seen. In the bowl, I've got 21 fish. This is just a quick pick through my netter keepers and my, you know, some of the most promising fish that I can see right now. As with any others, you know, it's possible that we'll see some of these at the very final harvest, sort of October next year. Likewise, there might be other fish that come through a lot better, and some of these don't make it. So that's the point of this video series, really. We'll really track what happens, and yeah, see how good I got it to begin with. Yeah, so we've just done, I just did a quick measure. We've got an average size now of 11 to 14 cm from the main sort of pack. So yeah, I can't quite remember what they were before, but there has been good progression in them, along with the colour, as we mentioned previously. So yeah, I mean, these fish in here, there is even some, you know, real standout fish amongst these, but they have got a long way to go. Patterns are really strong, bodies are looking, you know, good, prominent. That's the nice thing with the Shinoda Hi Utsuri, you know, they do carry a lot of power around the shoulder region, you know, big head, nice sort of powerful shoulder region, and to be honest, looking yeah, quite sort of short and powerful initially, and then really stretching out as they get older and more mature. So yeah, from these now, I'm just going to show you a few the real sort of standout ones for me. I believe this is a fish we looked at earlier in the video, but that is really looking like a super promising prospect, that one. Really nice, exciting fish at this stage. Like I say, long way to go, but yeah, very standout at this particular moment in time. Then for me, this fish is actually looking quite good. It's heavily sumid at the minute, but bearing in mind as that sort of stretches, you know, this one's going to be a good grower. I can see that really nice length in that body. Sumi quality is good. You know, these areas on the side of the body will start to play a part and become more prominent as this fish gets bigger. Like the head pattern and what could end up there, you know, as this sort of memoir in the middle becomes more defined. And yeah, just looking at the benny, you know, I'm going to expect a real thick, sort of deep, lustrous benny from that fish. So yeah, pretty pleased with that one. And then again here, I think we did look at this fish earlier, but yeah, you just can't help but get excited by what you see in there from that pattern. Really nice sort of Utsuri flow to it, where we've got, you know, black on red, sort of stepping down the body like that. Great fish, nice strong body again. You know, this is sort of that typical Shinoda body that I was trying to explain earlier. You know, really quite powerful. Overall, it's an exciting piece. So yeah, but as you look around the bowl, there's plenty there to see and get excited about. So them amongst the others, yeah, I look forward to seeing where we get with these. So that's the end of this part of the video. Like I say, these fish are going to get released back into this 3,500 gallon pond now, crank the temperature up and really get on the food and get pushing these hard. So I expect the next selection to be done possibly around the end of January to sort of mid-Feb, somewhere in that period. Fingers crossed. It's a very busy time at Koi Wholesale with shipments and everything coming in, but hopefully we're going to be able to get that done and see where these have got to. I've already said you're going to see a massive sort of leap in progress up to the next selection, and yeah, really looking forward to showing you where they've got to at that point. Thanks for watching, and yeah, we'll be back soon.